Hey friends, it's Awkwardly Random with Cinthya and Michelle, where we talk about random topics.
Anything and everything awkward is on the table, so let's dive right in.
Hey everyone, it's Cinthya.
And it's Michelle. Welcome back to another episode of
Awkwardly Random. That's so awkward.
That was so
and
cringe.
I love it.
I know.
I like awkward
Welcome back.
things.
Yeah.
Yes. Welcome back to another episode. You're like, yeah, whatever.
No, I'm just like, yeah. Like that was my only input. Yeah. Okay, we're back. Happy to see y'all again this week. What have you been up to, Beans?
I have been busy with work and doggy sitting for Jasmine because she's in the DR living her best life in the sun at the beach, hanging out with her family. I'm like, whoa. Do you, girl, do you? So so I'm doggy sitting her two dogs during the week. And even though I'm not an animal person, I guess whatever that means to you. I never grew up with pets. I was never a big fan of having pets, or I never really thought of wanting a dog in the house or a pet.
You've never wanted a pet when you were little? Never wanted a dog? No? Okay.
When people ask me, I'm like, oh, I think that'd be cool, but I never really sat and thought about it. It wasn't something that came to mind. So and so now watching two dogs on my own, it's been interesting, and I'm learning a lot about the work that it takes to care for a pet, especially two dogs, and one of which has certain needs. I think she's deaf and half blind, and there's some things going on there, so she needs a little bit more support and attention. And I'm like, not used to it, but I'm learning a lot, and I'm growing a love for dogs. Don't hate me, y'all. I'm not saying I hate dogs in general. I'm just saying I never grew up with pets, so this has been a change and a transition for me, and I'm adapting.
Yeah, it's hard. As someone who grew up with pets, it's hard. Like growing up, we used to have like a rabbit, I think we had a Doberman at one point when I was really little, living in California. Cool. We had two birds, we had turtles, we had fish, and then when we moved to Wisconsin, we had and all those pets weren't mine technically, they were other people's, but they were in our house. So it was cool to grow around them. But with that cool. Doberman, it was scary. That Doberman was my uncle's dog, and Dobermans are huge, but I just think that it was just super playful, and then I was really small, and it was a huge dog, and I just got scared of it. But the dog never did anything to me. But I mean, I'm a huge dog person, so
and so
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
What does that mean to be a huge dog person?
I don't know, but I don't know what it means for other people. But for me, it just means that I love dogs. Dogs are my favorite kind of pet, is what I mean when I say I'm a dog person. Out of all the pets, I really like having a dog.
And you got a dog. You actually are putting in the work for a dog that you have at home. And
but it's a lot of work. Even though I was like, I'm gonna make this decision, I know the amount of work it takes. It is exhausting too, especially during the puppy phase, having to train and all these things. I mean, she's still a toddler technically, still learning how to act and stuff, and she is such a huge personality, super sassy. So I mean, it's nice, but at the same time, it is a lot of work. My life also revolves around how I have to take care of my dog, making sure my dog eats, making sure my dog walks, making sure my dog goes to the bathroom, making sure that if I'm not going to be home for a certain amount of time, who can watch her, if I'm going to go visit my family, can I take her, that costs a lot of money to take her too. So it's a lot of responsibility, but I kind of wouldn't have it any other way. But for some people it's really hard. Cool. For some people it's hard. They've never had pets. Jesus has never had. He never grew up with pets either. Never had a dog. So I really had to teach him what to do, and so it's just really it's been really fun seeing him grow in that way. And now he loves her. He's just like obsessed with her in a way. It's like so cute though.
They really grow on you.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool if you'd be down, Michelle, to do an episode on that. What happens when your partner is either not an animal person or you're not the animal person. You didn't grow up with pets, but your partner did, and that's what they want, and they want all these pets. What do you do there? You know? So
hard.
that'd be a good episode, I think.
Yeah. I think it would be a good episode.
Yes. Okay, wait, how have you been? How are you doing? How's everything?
I'm good. Just working.
Aren't we all
working?
Yep.
And today's my sister's birthday, so it's really nice that she's turning another year, but I'm far away, but it's okay. I'll see her soon.
Shout out to Jackie. Happy birthday.
Yeah, and then just tomorrow I'll be like volunteering for an event here to provide like legal assistance or like intakes to Ukrainian refugees. So I'll be doing that tomorrow.
Cool.
So yeah, just doing life, trying to enjoy it.
And doing things for others. That's awesome. Living in service.
Trying to live in service for myself too.
As we all should. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let's get to our awkwardly random question. Go ahead, Mish. This was your question. You can go ahead and ask it or answer it first, whatever you'd like.
Okay. If you could have one type of drink for the rest of your life, what would it be? Beans.
Okay, this was an absolute no-brainer for me. Horchata.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
That's my go-to. This drink, if y'all haven't tried it, and if y'all have no allergies to like rice or cinnamon or some sort of evaporated milk,
it's not dairy. Intolerant.
It's not dairy though. I think it's, or is it?
We use milk. Well, at least how my grandma does it. She uses milk.
Well, there are non-dairy options, but man, this drink has just the perfect amount of sweetness, and it goes really great with basically any Mexican food, in my opinion. Every time I go to a Mexican restaurant, I'll have like tacos or a torta or whatever, arroz y frijoles y una carne, and then horchata on the side. Chef's kiss.
Nice. I like horchata, but I'm not like, it's not like my favorite agua.
Okay.
I don't know why. Agua, or it's just because it's, for me, like the way that I grew up drinking it, it's like they add milk and like lechera and like rice.
Yeah, and all evaporated milk. I think it's what it is.
Yeah. And then so it's too sweet for me to eat it with like food it's like salty and like all this other stuff. So for me, it always clashed in when I drank it and ate it with food, but it's really, really good. I love it.
Yes.
I don't know if this is why I added this question, because it's pretty hard. But I would probably say agua de Jamaica is my favorite.
Oh, really? I didn't know you liked agua de Jamaica.
It's so good. And it's so easy to make.
Yeah. I have to be in the mood for it. I think Jamaica I'm kind of picky with, unfortunately.
Really? What do you mean?
The flavoring of it, I don't know. It doesn't appeal to my taste buds very much.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. I'll drink it. It's not like repulsive or anything, but
I like it the simple way though. Like I like you just boil the flour, and then you like strain the flour, and then the liquid you pour it, you just add some ice and some like
so you have it in
sugar, and that's it. Yeah, that is the best.
Yeah,
like that's what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that one too, I don't know why. It's like it just doesn't do much.
So refreshing.
For me. So refreshing.
That's that type of agua. I can eat it with anything, because it's not like overwhelming my taste buds.
Yeah, it's not super sweet. It's interesting that you said that it clashes for you, the savory and the sweet, when usually those two kind of go together. Like a lot of people prefer the savory and the sweet combined. It's like when they do salted chocolate pretzels. Like you have the savory and then you have the sweet.
It's too much. So, I mean, I like them, but they're too much. I mean, it's not that I don't like it. I like it. It's like really good.
Yeah.
But I can't have too much of it. It's like a little bit too much. But I really do like horchata, but I'm not gonna like chug it. Like I couldn't have that for the rest of my life. Like it's gonna be a lot.
Okay. And Jamaica, yes, you can have that for the rest of your life.
I can have that. Yeah.
Nice. That's a good choice. Okay. Not that any choice is wrong. Everybody's opinion.
What would y'all drink? You know, I also like I was like if I had soda every like for the rest of my life, I'm like I would have a really short life.
Or do you like soda? Are you a fan of soda?
Yes, I am. What kind of soda? All kinds of soda.
Oh, really?
I like Coke. I like Sprite. I like Secret Mist, which is kind of the same thing. I like Jarritos.
Oh, me too. Do you like sangria?
I like a variety. Yeah, I like sangria.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I like all of that. It's kind of bad, but I like all of that. What about you?
Yeah, I used to drink it quite a bit, but now I only drink it every once in a blue moon, like soda in general. Every once in a blue moon, occasionally if I go out to eat, but usually I'll go for water, or like if I'm at some sort of social event or a party or something, I'll have a little bit. But y'all, I mean, soda's really bad for you, so I'm trying to not drink it, but it does taste really good. I have a big sweet tooth. I do like sweet drinks and sweet food and sweet whatever, anything sweet. So I think that's why I like horchata so much.
Yeah, I like the carbonation of soda though.
Yeah, well, so you can get that with carbonated water.
Yeah, but not do it for you. It's not the same thing.
Okay.
No. Don't even
try it. Try
if I'm gonna drink water, I'm gonna drink like water. Like I can't like carbonation. I can't. No, if I'm gonna drink water, I'm gonna drink my water. No. If I'm gonna drink soda, I'm gonna drink soda. That's it. No diet, not diet soda. No, straight up soda. Like I'm doing it.
Okay.
All right. Okay, yeah. Let's move on.
That's fair.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's just like I don't know.
No, that's cool.
It's bad for you, I know, but I'm still gonna drink my soda. Okay,
enjoy it.
I'll drink my water too, but
yeah, we are not shaming anybody for drinking
variety of beverages. Okay, like I drink my water, I drink my coffee, I drink my soda, I drink my oh my god, like I just like it all.
You have a balance.
Yeah,
there you go. That's all that matters is balance.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, moving on to the topic of today. What are we talking about today? We're talking about being wrong / people pleasing.
Oh my gosh.
There are going to be some good questions. So let's start off with being wrong. Right?
Oh my gosh. Yes, being wrong. I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been listening to podcasts about human behavior and psychology and why we do the things we do and why we perceive certain things differently and all these kinds. I'm asking a lot of questions in my head. And one of them I was thinking about when we were planning for this podcast was about the fact of everyone's wrong at some point. We're all wrong. But why is it so hard for people to admit or to be wrong? Why is that a thing? You know, and maybe it's different for everybody, but like, what are your thoughts about that? About being wrong in general?
I feel like I agree with you with just people not wanting to be wrong. Yeah. I think that I feel like it's mostly like people's egos and I don't know.
Maybe to make more sense of this, bring it onto ourselves. Is it hard for you, Mish, to admit that you're wrong about something or admit to a mistake that you made in general or with certain things? Or was this something that was hard for you in the past and now it's not? Or, you know, what is your relationship with being wrong?
Yeah. I think I'm still working on it, to be honest. If I'm going to be honest.
In what way?
I think before everyone's wrong, right? Like there's not everyone's wrong, but like you're not always going to be right. And whatever that means, whatever topic that is.
Yeah.
So it's not, how do I say this? no one person can be right all the time for their entire life. You know what I mean? So there will come a point where like you're wrong. Like listener of us, we're all going to be wrong at some point in our lives, right?
Yeah.
So I think when you're younger, at least when I think about like the times where I was wrong when I was younger, I really always think back with my sisters and like my relationship with them, and like us having different opinions on different things, or just like the way we do things, or like maybe factual things where one of us was right, one of us was wrong. But what I'm trying to say is that when I was younger, it was hard for me to admit that I was wrong, or that like maybe they have a different opinion, or that maybe they have a different experience. And I talked about this before on the podcast, like my sisters and my mom, and growing up with like my grandma and all of them, like they taught me the importance of like self-reflection, the importance of being aware of yourself, the importance of like self-awareness, and knowing that like, yes, you may have strong opinions, you may be strong-minded, all these other things, you may be smart, but that doesn't necessarily not everyone agrees with that. Not everyone agrees with what you think. Not everyone agrees with like your way of living, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So like my life with my sisters and my relationship with them and my mom taught me that like, you're not always going to be right, bro. Like, so I learned that early on, but I think it's hard. Being accountable depending on like whatever it is that you did wrong, like air quotes, because like wrong doesn't necessarily mean bad, right? And I think that's why people really don't like to be wrong, because whenever we think of wrong, we think of something bad, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. So I think there's also like negative connotations with like maybe being wrong about something that has to do with it. There's ego that has to do with it,
right?
But I think that you're not really growing as a person if you think that you're always right. And I think that plays a role in it. I don't know. Did I answer your question? What do you think?
Yes, you did answer the question.
How have you, was it hard for you? Is it hard for you to admit that you're wrong? Like, was it hard for you to admit that you're wrong? I can talk about like now how I feel about it, but back then, like you can talk about how it was when you were younger, if it's different.
So I told you this already before we recorded this, but this is gonna sound kind of sad, but I never thought that I was the one in the right when I was having debates with people or having conversation or sharing different opinions. I was kind of used to learning from the other person or hearing their perspective, and oftentimes I agreed with them. Like oftentimes I would realize, oh wait, I'm wrong here, you know, and that's just kind of like what it was for me. I always felt, and not to say that this is the reality, right, but this is how I felt that I was outsmarted so many times, all the time. So it was kind of like, it was kind of like a norm for me to not have it right, essentially. And so I think you were saying that to be right all the time, you said it's not good, you're not growing if you want to be right all the time. It's also,
think that you're always right.
If you think that you're always right. And you're also not growing if you think that you're always wrong. I think both ways, right? So now I've come to a point where, well, I know for a fact I'm going to be wrong about a lot of things, and I'm still going to be wrong about a lot of things, and that's okay. And I'm going to be wrong about myself, about others, about the world, whatever. But then
we all are.
Yeah, just like we all are. But the important thing, at least for me, is to take that to learn and to grow, right? Take what I made a mistake about, or maybe I didn't have the full picture about something, and I'm going to do my work to get more information so that I have a more robust sense of knowledge about whatever topic. So, you know, taking action after that, not just being like, okay, I was wrong, ni modo, ya pasó, whatever. Like, it's cool. You know what I mean? Like you take that next step. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think in this context, it's hard to talk about just like being wrong and then being right, because I think that is too simplified, I think, because being right and being wrong could be about a lot of things, you know what I mean? So it's hard. I feel like sometimes you're not necessarily wrong, you just maybe you're right, but maybe you're missing a few things, you know what I mean? But that doesn't necessarily make it
make you wrong.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like I think a lot of this has to do with like how in our like how we were brought up too. I don't know, at least that's what I think, because I'm trying to think back about the times, like I said, when I was younger, and like I said, I'm still working on all of this, but my specifically with my mom and like with my sisters, I was saying how like all of us, you know, my sisters, right? And we all have our own opinions. We all like, but we never thought we were wrong. Like we would, you know what I mean? Like, you know, cuando like hermanas se pelean and you don't think that you're wrong about things because maybe it has nothing to do with anything factual. Maybe it just has to do with like an opinion, you know what I mean? And I think that's different than like, this is based off fact. So what my mom taught us like early on was, what did she teach it? Like she didn't teach us to like think that we're wrong. Like she taught us that like, okay, your opinion is valid, but her opinion is also valid. And that doesn't necessarily make you wrong. Or like if you don't know something, my mom also and my dad, I remember they didn't like when we would respond with I don't know about certain things. They're like, well, like you have the resources, you have like, you can look it up, like even though you don't know like the complexities of things, maybe you should just know like the basics of it, you know what I mean? I don't know,
like as a starting point.
And I don't know, it sucks that you like felt that way, like that people I don't know if people made you feel that way or you necessarily like internalize that because I'm sure you aren't the only person that this has happened to, you know what I mean? But I can see how that happened to me with other people in my family. So like out of my cousins, me and my sister Jackie are like the youngest, and my other cousin Janet are like the youngest of the cousins. So my cousins, if you listen to this, I'm gonna call y'all out. They made us feel like we were wrong about like even now, like to be honest, that's why I feel like a little complicated with like when someone says that you're wrong, because it's so nuanced and it's so like simplified when someone is right or wrong, because when it comes to a topic like that has so many layers to it, like it's really hard to be like you're wrong, and I would never be like you're wrong or you're right now, because like I said, it's complicated. But going to back what I was saying with my cousins, like since we were the youngest and like less life experience, según ellos, right? Or like they've been in life longer, they maybe have married, maybe have kids, have gone through like different levels of education too. We were always made to feel that like their opinion was right and our opinion was wrong. And I hated that growing up. And I'm like, no, like you have your opinion, but this is what I learned. These are my sources. This is what I think. I don't care what you have to think. And like, that's why when in previous episodes, like I talked about how like my family at gatherings, we talk a lot about a lot of different topics, including politics, including all these other things. And I grew up debating like my cousins and having these arguments about like, and being told I was wrong. So like growing up feeling like, oh, like you're wrong or this and this and that, like I felt like I always had to fight for like my voice, had to fight for my opinion. And having growing up in that way just made me feel like I needed to like debate so someone can listen to my opinion. And I felt like that was so invalidating. And that's why I asked you, like, did people make you feel this way? Because I definitely felt like people made me feel this way, but I was like, fuck that, like I'm still gonna say what I think, like I don't care, like you can make me feel bad, I'll feel bad temporarily, but I'm still gonna like Like, I still don't think you're right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's really cool that you responded in that way. I think my response was different. I did have those.
Yeah, but I responded by crying. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like when I would debate, like my ass would be like debating, but like I'd be crying because like I was little, I was young. Like I felt, like I said, I didn't feel like my opinions were validated.
Yeah.
So that's why, like now growing up, I don't think that it's okay for people to be like, you're wrong or you're right, depending on what it is, right? Like if it's like factual shit, like yes, you're wrong. But like if it's like more opinions and like it's more layered and complicated, then like hear the person out, you know?
Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Yes, you asked me about if other people made me feel this way. I think I internalized it, like you said. I internalized it. And so my response was to just kind of shut down and leave it alone. Whereas, you know, you were describing that you would debate and you'd be like fighting to get your voice heard. I think I think that's really admirable. And I think my response was more of, not to compare, I'm just sharing my response. My response was more of, I'm just going to hide in my shell and I'm safe here. You know, I'm not gonna debate you because it's just not, that's not what I'm gonna do. So that was my response. So I think I just internalized, and I had mentioned earlier, like it probably wasn't reality. I don't think I was wrong about everything, but I think I internalized almost like imposter syndrome, but like outside of the workplace, you know, in my personal life as well. So I do remember one of my friends, haven't talked to her in forever. She's my friend at the time. She told me I wasn't the brightest crayon in the crayon box or something like that.
What?
So yes,
that's not a friend.
So, and we can dissect that more, but you internalize those things. You internalize messages, explicit or implicit messages you get from other people.
You do.
That's just what happened to me. And I'm not the only one. And I'm not looking for pity or anything. This is just kind of what my experience has been. So that's what I have felt. And I know that's not, after reevaluation and deep reflection and all this kind of stuff, it's just that's not true. It's just what I internalized. So, but it's very nuanced. It's not like I'm saying that I was wrong about everything and that my opinions were wrong. That's not the case. I just always, that's just what I felt of this person. Like usually in debate, the other person would quote unquote win the argument. They'd make their point, they'd have the last word, and then that's it. Like that's it. Yeah. So it's terrible. Just weird, man.
I mean, it's weird, but I feel like that happens in real life. Like that is a thing. Like we aren't the only people who've experienced these things.
Right.
And I think it really depends on like how you react, how it makes you feel. And sometimes like when I've gotten into like debates or arguments with people, like sometimes I don't know what to say. And like sometimes I do shut down too. And sometimes later on, I'm like, oh, I could have said this, or I could have said that, like, oh, whatever. Right. And a lot of the things that people say, that I've noticed in arguments or debates, they try to undermine you instead of like the actual opinion. And I think that's why I like asked, like, I'm pretty sure it was people who made you feel this way, not necessarily about like what you thought or your opinions, but a way that for people, and I've noticed this too, a way for people to undermine someone or their intelligence is not to go after what they're actually saying. It's to attack them. It's to attack like how you're saying things. Maybe you didn't say things right, or maybe like you're crying, like how I used, you know what I mean? Like all of these things, I know this because all of these things were done to me.
Yeah.
So then that's why I'm just like, I would never want to do this to any other person, but I understand that is a tactic people use to intimidate you, for you to like not say anything and all these other things, which is terrible. But that's how people get the last word in or like win. But I don't think that necessarily means that they win. It just means that they're like intimidating you to not talk, to not continue the conversation, because if they actually wanted to have a conversation about it, they would.
Yes. And maybe it could be that they just are completely trying to avoid being wrong or quote unquote losing the argument, whatever that means to them. Something that kind of irks me, it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes what happens is they say, okay, let's just agree to disagree. Right. As a way out, so that because they don't see the whole picture, or they are technically wrong about something. Like these are, for example, people who are against the mask or against the vaccine and are not taking into account the actual facts and the statistics, and are just saying, well, let's just agree to disagree that the vaccines whatever work or don't work. Right. That kind of irks me, because I'm like, no, we can't agree to disagree on these. Well, and certain things, I don't think that it's possible or should be okay to disagree, to agree to disagree about certain things. Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but it's okay. So like, what would be the other option? Like, you can't change people's minds if they actually believe what they think is right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Especially with people who are like against the mask. Like those people think that they're right. Like no matter what you say, no matter what you send them, like they're not going to change their mind.
Yeah. And
that's what we're talking about. We're like, well, what do we do when people are wrong?
What do we do? Like, because sometimes I feel like that's their way out, to just not talk about it, and to avoid being told straight up facts.
Yeah.
Because there's no more that they can contribute. Right. They don't want to hear it. Yeah. That's what kind of irks me.
That's what I'm saying. Happens. Can we do anything about it?
Well, okay. So let me ask you this. When you are debating somebody around certain issues, very important issues, which I'm sure you have done so in the past.
Yeah.
What's your goal? I think I've asked you this before. I think you said it's not to change their mind. But
I don't know. Like, I guess it depends on the person and like on the topic, and it depends on all of that, because I think that I personally don't think that I can change someone's mind. I think I can provide them with information. I think I can sway them. I think I can influence them, depending on like how I approach someone, how I talk to them about certain things. Like if I think that they're wrong, like I'll ask them like, so why do you think that? Like, where does that come from? And then I'm like, did you think about this? Did you think about that? But I don't have like, obviously the goal would be maybe to change their mind, but I know that you can't do that. You can't, if somebody's is not open to like information or resources, they're not going to care, So for me, like, so I'll just talk to someone, and I guess my goal would just be to like inform them, if it has to do with anything that's factual.
If they're willing to listen.
If they're willing to listen. If not, like there's also another side of me where I'll just start like coming at them like I don't know. You know what? You've seen that side of me too.
Yes.
Like with people, like I'm not gonna sit down and talk to you. Like I'll start saying some words, like, and then I'm like, there's no point. But yeah, I don't. You know what I mean? But I don't think that that's a debate. Like, like the second part. Like, I just think that that's just like, this person's not gonna listen. Like, you're bothering me, or like, yeah. I don't know. I think it's hard to. I think it's hard to talk about certain things, and depending on like how it affects you,
right,
and the way that people react. Like I was talking about my approach on like how I talk with certain people but I think people have different approaches. I don't necessarily think that you have to approach someone a certain way. Like I think everyone can do it however they want to. But yeah, I don't know. What is your goal when you get into an argument or debate with someone? What is your goal? Have you gotten into arguments or debates with people? Because I know you said earlier you would like not say anything.
Yes, I do have conversations and debates and stuff with people, and my goal is really just to be heard. That's it. I know I can't change your mind. You probably won't change your mind. I don't know how much of an influence I'll have on you, but if you could just hear me out, that's kind of all I ask, just to be heard. As simple as that. And
nice.
If I state certain statements that I think are true and I'm wrong about it, I think it's also important for me to be aware of that, be mindful of that, admit it, and then grow from it. If it's someone else who's maybe spitting factual or false information, then I hope that they can hear me out and I can give them the information I have, and hopefully that, I don't know, that helps them grow too, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have this like intent to change minds or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think anybody can.
But if it plants a seed to get them to think and branch out,
it influences people, and like,
then that's cool.
Yeah, but is it easy? Can you do it?
Can you do it?
We're not psychologists. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't think so. I don't think so, but you can try. Try it. Let us know.
Yeah.
So do you think it's important to admit when you're wrong?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's growth, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think so too. Yeah, I think it's important to admit
it's hard. It's hard to do that when you admit to a mistake or something, or you admit to hurting somebody, right? Like, or if you hurt your partner's feelings or your friend's feelings when you said something and you were wrong, like that. It's hard.
It is hard.
It can hurt the ego a little bit.
A little bit.
A lot of bit. It can hurt the ego a lot of bit.
No, yeah. I definitely think it's important to admit that you're wrong. It's not easy, but you need to take accountability for what you say, what you do.
I think it is important what we say and how we say it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to opinions.
Okay, opinions.
A lot of people say, and I'm one of those people, in my opinion, this and this and this and this. Opinions?
Yeah. We all do.
Right.
We say that all the time on this podcast.
We reiterate that shit all the time. Yeah,
it is our opinion. We are
Don't come at us. It is our opinion. Okay, so can opinions be wrong? Is that a thing?
Can they be wrong? Okay, so what are opinions? Opinions are what you think, what people
subjective.
Think. They're subjective.
Your beliefs, your thoughts, your ideas.
Okay, I'm going to say that opinions can be wrong if they are based on something that's factual.
Okay.
So yes, they can be wrong.
Okay.
Because just because my opinion is that the sky is pink. No. Like, factually, that is incorrect.
What if visually they are seeing pink?
Or do you have some glasses on, or like some rose-colored glasses, or what? I don't get. No.
Just kidding. I'm being a jerk here.
What do you think?
I agree with you. I think opinions most of the time. I mean, when I think of an opinion, I think of a subjective thought.
Yeah, like I like chocolate chip, not
right.
Rocky Road.
You like Jamaica, I like horchata. I don't really like Jamaica
those are opinions. Much. Yeah.
Right? These are just opinions. Yeah. I don't think they're wrong or right. I think they just are.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
And a fact, if you're trying to spit out a fact, those are objective statements or claims, and those can be wrong. Those can be false or accurate, right?
Yep.
So when we've talked about opinions that we have about each other. You know, I think you're a certain way and whatever. My opinion is based off of what I've seen from you and of you and things that you've told me.
Yeah.
And is that wrong? I don't think so necessarily, even though it might not be super accurate to how you perceive yourself or your experience.
Yeah.
But it's just based on what I've experienced from hanging out with you and all these kinds of things. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
It's just an idea, a thought that I have. And I don't think that's necessarily wrong. And maybe it's not right either, but I don't think it's wrong.
Yeah.
I just went in a circle, but no, I don't think
that makes sense. That makes sense. I think the way you perceive people and how they present themselves, I mean, you will base an opinion on someone because of that.
You're right.
So yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
So I want to move on to people pleasing. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's do that. We talked a lot about being right and wrong.
Yeah.
Everyone's right. Everyone's wrong. Get over it. Grow as a person. The end. We're moving on.
End of discussion.
And take accountability. Like if you're wrong, if you made a mistake, like that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. Like I just want people to like get that clear. Like maybe you did something bad when you did something wrong. That's different. But not all mistakes and not all things that you're wrong about are bad. So just take that into account. If you really like harmed someone or did something, I don't know, take accountability, be self-aware, reflect, and then just do better.
Yeah.
And if someone is trying to like call you in about it, like try to be open-minded. I know it's not easy to hear, but do you want to grow as a person or not? That's it.
That's the question.
That's the question. That's the question. That's the question. Okay.
Do better. Just do better.
Just do better.
I'm going to try to do better too. I think people pleasing is related to this in some way because I consider myself, well, I'm trying to reframe how I think about myself because I feel like when we say we are this and we are that, then that's
you're putting yourself in a label.
Yeah, like, you identify as that and then you act as that way. So I'm trying not to say that I'm a people pleaser, but I do people please quite a bit. I feel like I have done that, and sometimes I still do it now, not as much as before, but that in a sense is related to being wrong. Like sometimes I would just not say that I'm wrong, but just be like, okay, you're right. Like, okay, I get it or whatever. And then move on so as not to discomfort them or put them in an awkward position. Right. So I'm putting their needs, I guess, before my own. And I think that's one way to define what people pleasing is. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say that is a way to describe people pleasing. And I think that people pleasing, I don't think people should like labeling someone a people pleaser. Or just labeling
like
and
a pushover
in that way. And I don't know if that's the same thing. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that later.
I think there's a difference,
but
I think it's related.
It's related. So people pleasing tends to be that you do things for other people for them to be happy, and it'll maybe be to the detriment of you, or it is to the detriment of you and what you want and your needs. So I wouldn't identify myself as a people pleaser, but I feel like I have people pleasing people pleasing tendencies. And I think it stems, I was reading articles and all this stuff because I wouldn't consider myself a people pleaser. I wouldn't label myself as that. I don't think I would label anyone as that, but I think that we have habits that resemble people pleasing, and I think it has to do with how we were raised. I don't know, Beans, you're the child development expert here, but I was reading articles talking about how like this can be learned, like people pleasing can be learned as children because how we're raised by like our parents or like whatever, right? Could be like, what do they call it? Like a reward system. Like if you do something wrong, if you do something right, you'll get rewarded. If you do something wrong, maybe you'll get punished in a certain way. So when we grow up in this like pattern, we learn this is what makes my mom happy. This is what makes my dad happy. And you learn that, and as you grow that, you keep that. And you take that in school, you take that in your workplace and all these other things in different type of relationships. So I know that I have people pleasing tendencies based off of how I was raised in that way. But I don't think that I have been better growing up, just setting boundaries, like just not just saying yes because I think I should be doing it and to make the other person happy. But I feel like I can exhibit more people pleasing like habits or tendencies at work versus like anywhere else in my life.
Right.
Or like, or like maybe with like, just, I think just at work is where I like these come up where like, I'm like, oh, I don't necessarily have time to do all these things, but I'll still say yes.
I think that's a pretty common thing for people to do certain people pleasing things in the workplace for fear of getting fired or having a bad review, or I don't know, other certain repercussions that could come with not meeting certain requirements. But sometimes you're being asked more than what your role entails, entails. So I think that's also where that people pleasing comes in. The whole childhood thing and how we're raised is a really good point. I hadn't really thought about it, but it's true. We get these messages when we're growing up and we're being raised. And I was thinking about it as you were talking, you're describing it when I was a kid, and I'm not the only one. And not to say that this is like bad. Everybody has had this where where you get a good grade and your parents say, I'm so proud of you. You worked so hard. You know what I'm saying? And you're being rewarded. You're getting sent these messages about things that you should do, right? So, oh my gosh, I got good grades. My parents are proud of me. This is what makes, like you said, my mom happy, right? This is what is going to please my parents. And I think I'm going to try, if I ever do become a parent, to tell my child, you must be so proud of yourself, right? Versus saying, I'm proud of you, which I will say obviously too, because I am proud of them. But I think it's important to highlight the intrinsic motivational part of it versus sending the message that what you did pleased me, right? And I think that's what we are internalizing, like as kids. We're doing things to appease our parents or our caregivers, or whoever's caring for us, or older siblings too, as well.
And even as adults, we do that. I think people do that. Oh, I'm just thinking about I think in general, people seek validation from others, and that is where it can be toxic, or like not healthy, or not like very.
Right. And not to say that, well, so it is meaningful when someone you care about tells you that they're proud of you, or that, like how great of you to have graduated law school, right? Or do all these things. And like that does, at least what I think is that does feel good. To me, that feels good when someone I care about says something good about me.
But, and that's important to get it.
Yes. And it is important. However, or in addition to that, I think what's even more important is how you validate yourself. Right? Are you pleasing yourself? Are you meeting your needs?
And just to add to that, I think that like, yes, it's important how you value yourself, but also like, don't do things because you need that validation from other people. Is my point. Like, you shouldn't. Yes, well, it's nice to get that, but I feel like as adults, we kind of rarely get that now. You know what I mean? So I think that when we are so used to getting that growing up, and now as adults, like maybe we're not getting that so much now, like I feel like that's why a lot of people seek validation elsewhere, like maybe on social media, or like maybe like through their workplace, or maybe like, other things like that. And I think that you made a really good point. Like, you need to validate and value yourself and not rely on external things to do it for yourself.
Right.
But I feel like we have been conditioned to be receiving this validation from others.
Yeah. And let's make it very like concrete to give some examples of how what this looks like in real life. Like you had mentioned saying yes to a lot of things. And I do that too. I still have a hard time saying no to people. I don't think it's gotten easier. I think I've just been able to like manage it afterwards a little bit better. Like I don't stay in that guilty feeling as much anymore. But it's still not easy to say no to people. Or like for me, sometimes I still like ruminate on what other people think about me. Right.
What do you mean?
So I still care deeply about other people's opinions about myself. And so in turn, I do things to be on the good side of other people so that they like me. Right. And so like, it's like almost like a people pleasing thing, but internally I'm just like, I want you to be okay with me. Does that make sense? So then I do things to not get you upset or to not put you in an uncomfortable position.
Oh, I didn't think about it that way. Yeah. But how do you know people's opinions about you?
Right. And you don't know. This is all internal. This isn't like
that's just like what I'm
thinking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, and that's so, intense.
So I
always
yes
think about that.
Not always. This is I've grown a lot, but in college, and I've talked to you about this too, I would say yes to things when I didn't want to, because I didn't want them to not like me, or I didn't want them to feel bad or whatever, you know. And so I'm just trying to give clear, more concrete ways in which this appears in life, so that, you know, to get people thinking too about what this looks like.
Or, I mean, another example that this is really small, but it is an example.
It's important,
I think. But like when you go, okay, this is gonna sound stupid. It's not as serious.
No.
When you and your friend decide to go to like a restaurant, but like you don't like the food there.
Yes.
And you just go because they like it, and you don't say anything. You just go. Yeah, and you pay money for food that you don't like. I've done that before. Yeah.
That's so, like, all those things I still eat are it. Maybe if you isolate them, they're minor, but like in the context of life, those are pretty big things that impact you along the way.
Yeah.
So I've done the same thing, or I've said yes to going out when I really don't want to go out, or I'll pay the what is it called, the cover charge, whatever, to go into a club when I didn't even want to fucking go out in the first place.
Yeah.
So I just agree, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, you know. Not always. I'm not saying this is a constant thing, but it has happened in the past.
Yeah.
So hopefully you, listener, reflect on if this has ever happened to you.
Yeah. People pleasing tendencies.
Yeah. What are your people pleasing tendencies or habits? And think about how we can move away from that. You know, and validate yourself mainly. That's the most important part of it.
Prioritize yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is on our line, but what are your tips? I wanted to ask you this. What are your tips to stop people pleasing, or to break those people pleasing tendencies or habits?
I think you need to think about why you're doing certain things. Like, are you doing it for yourself because you're happy to do it? Are you doing it to make the other person happy? And like, I would say identify that. And then if you truly are just doing it for the other person, and it's not really doing anything for you, I guess, or like you don't want to do it, I think you need to step up to the plate and just say you don't want to. And you don't have to give a reason to like, I don't think you owe anybody anything. You could just be like, hey, I'm not feeling it, or like, no, I don't want to. And if that person is your friend or like has a relationship with you, they should understand and they shouldn't get mad. I mean, this is what they all should do, right? But you don't know. And I think that once you start setting those boundaries for yourself, then you will learn like that, whether that person should be in your life or not. But like, you setting up boundaries for yourself doesn't mean that that person should take their anger out on you, or like, you know what I mean? I feel like we've seen this a lot when people set boundaries for themselves, and people just don't necessarily like that because you're not really giving in to what they want. And I feel like certain people can tell when other people are like that, when other people have people pleasing tendencies, and people do take advantage of that. And by you setting that boundary, you're letting them know like, hey, like, I still want to hang out with you and do all these things, but not right now. Or like maybe in a different way.
Those are really, really good points. I agree with you. I remember like always feeling the need to give some sort of explanation for why I'm saying no.
Yeah.
Whether it's because like, if I say I can't, I have to do all these things, or I have this and this and this, and I won't be able to make it. Like, I had to give some sort of explanation. And I think it's more than enough to say I'm unable to make it. Have fun, or, you know, or I hope you have a great time. If they're inviting you to some sort of party or I don't know, something, I hope you have fun, enjoy the food or whatever, you know, and so, you know, I won't be able to make it. And I think also you don't necessarily have to apologize for not making it or for not going. Yeah. I think we do that a lot. I still do that quite a bit, but I don't think that's required. I don't think you owe them any sort of apology for that. So yeah, take your, also, like, you can take your time before giving an answer. You don't have to answer right away.
Yeah.
Or make some sort of decision or say yes right away. You can say, oh, okay, let me see if I can make it, or let me think about what I can do here, and then I'll let you know. And it's okay to take your time. I feel like I'm not the only one. I felt the pressure to say yes right away, because if they
respond right away.
Yeah, I'm like, no, why
yeah
why are we conditioned to be this way, Mish?
Because everything is so instant. Our phones are at our hands all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that set up boundaries for yourself. What about you? Do you have any tips?
Yeah. So like I said, take your time before you answer. Don't apologize if you can't make it, or if you have to say no. You can say, I don't want to. You don't have to say I can't. You can also say you don't want to if you really don't want to.
Because I don't want to. Yeah. And that should be okay. We're all adults.
Yes.
Like, yes. And please don't get butthurt if someone can't or doesn't want to. Like, I feel like people just take it the wrong way. And I'm just like, please get over it. Please get over it. Okay.
Practice saying no. I would say that one. Practice saying no. Set your boundaries. And just do the best you can. Like, it's hard. It's really hard to do all these things, because we don't, I think intrinsically, like, we just don't like to hurt other people. And oftentimes you feel like you're hurting them when you're really not also. Yeah. Like, I don't think I don't know, maybe 8 times out of 10, they're just like sitting in their rooms really upset that, you know, you didn't do this thing. Not saying that you're not special, but this is like, people, I feel like we exacerbate what people think about us.
Yeah.
I think
so too. I don't think it, I think we need I feel like we intrinsically care what other people think to some capacity, but we should try to minimize that as much as we can, and just try to live for ourselves sometimes too. Even though that sounds super individualistic, but I feel like for people like us, we always wanted to make sure that everyone was good, that everyone liked us, or like, you know what I mean? But so it sounds individualistic, but for people who haven't always necessarily put themselves first, should do that. Yeah. Even though it sounds a bit individualistic, it isn't, because especially for someone like you, Beans, I know you've always put other people first. You've always said yes. Like, I've known you for how many years now, and I know for a fact that you've always been this type of, like, super selfless for people, and like always said yes, always, all these things. So I'm super happy to hear that, like, and I've seen you do this too, like setting up boundaries, saying no, you can't do this, or like, no, you don't want to, or like, and I think that's super cool, and for you to be doing that. And yeah, I think people should be doing that.
Thank you. I think we all should be doing that.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress. I think, I know we have to wrap this up, but for the being wrong thing, I want to point out that we should all detach being wrong with our worth. You can be wrong, or you can make a mistake, and it doesn't make you any less of a person. So I think that's another thing too, because our ego and sometimes our identity and our sense of self and our worth is attached to these ideas. And when we are challenged in those ideas that we've held, it can be really hard to swallow that pill. And sometimes that could influence the way we see ourselves and our self-worth. So it's okay to be wrong. You are still worthy of all the love. And this is how we grow. Yeah. And acknowledge that you have, if you have any people-pleasing tendencies, acknowledge what those are. What does that look like for you? Where do you do that? Do you do that in the workplace? Do you do that with your personal relationships? Where does this manifest in your life? And what can you do to break those habits?
Yep. And prioritize yourself.
Yes. Hashtag.
Yay! That's a good way to end this episode. Good job. You're right. I'm just kidding.
I'm right? Oh my gosh. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, y'all. This was good.
Yeah, this was good.
Oh, I love having these conversations. What happened?
Oh, nothing. I just said my back hurts. I'm old.
You know what we need? Wait, what kind of chair do you have? I need a better chair.
I just have like
Oh, okay. Oh, but looks like you have some nice back support.
Nice sitting. No. Oh, well, it's like super low. I want to buy one of the cushions for the back.
Yeah. I want those fancy ergonomic chairs that like it goes up to here and you can change the level.
Oh, really?
Damn. But they're so expensive.
Oh, damn. No, I haven't.
Take care of your backs, y'all. Our backs are
I would like more of the aesthetic. I like my room to look cute.
So you're putting looks over comfort.
Yeah, sometimes I do.
That's fair. I do that too. Okay, y'all. We appreciate you tuning in. Let us know your thoughts. DM us on Instagram or Facebook. Comment on our
let us
channel.
know what you think. We got really deep in this. We got vulnerable. You know what's a little bit more. Come debate us. We invite you to our podcast. So we really do. I'm just kidding. So we can tell you. Yeah, it'd be nice to talk to other people just about different topics. I think it'll be fun.
I'm excited. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you at the next one.
See ya.
Bye.